Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right. So I'm reading a lot of details that are coming out about what the process was in regards to the Blazers looking to trade Dame Lillard throughout the course of the summer. The Heat were ready to send Tyler Hero to a third team, 3 first-rounders, and a bunch of second picks to the Blazers. Nikola Jovic to the Blazers, and whatever the return would be for Hero. And the Blazers were not up for it. I don't know that they actually got a better deal out of this. It depends on what they can get for Jrue Holiday. And it depends how much you value DeAndre Ayton and what they got back. If I'm not mistaken, didn't have any picks attached to it. For your rebuild, that's a mistake. That's a big mistake. From what I also just read, and I don't know how much credibility it holds, come July 5th, they're going to move on from the Jeremy Grant contract. That's exactly what I would do. As you guys have heard me say this a million times, that contract was bad when they signed it. I know they only signed it trying to, bring Jeremy Grant to Dame, and it was just a mistake. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think they thought they were doing good. And you live and you learn. That's what I'm taking from the Blazers. They're trying to undo mistakes that they made very recently, and I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad at is trying to go forward with those mistakes as if they weren't mistakes. I'm not mad at waking up one morning and realizing you made a mistake. I'm not going to be that guy. I just think that the Blazers have made a lot of mistakes as of late, man. I really do. It's been said that, again, hearsay, that Dame tried to rescind his trade. Once he found out he couldn't get to the Heat, he was ready to stay with the Blazers, and they didn't let him come back. That's a mistake too. It's a big mistake. Because now you're trying to go forward with 3 guards anyway, in theory. Or rather, no, I got that wrong. They're going to go forward with Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson, but I'd rather go forward with Dame Lillard and Scoot Henderson. That's just my preference in the situation. Just like I'd rather go forward with Jrue Holiday and Scoot Henderson. But it's not that I'm down on Anthony Simons in any way. I think Anthony Simons is a starting point guard in this league, and I've let that be known as well. So it can get lost in that I'm not actually down on Simons in any way. I think he'd be great in Toronto as their starting point guard. I think he'd be great in Miami as their starting point guard. Anthony Simons is a stud. He's just not a defensive player. And I don't look at Scoot Henderson particularly as a defensive player, although he's going to prove himself to be whatever he is. And the scouting, that's not where he makes his money. He makes his money on the offensive end. So, I don't know, Blazers. I'm a little worried here, man. I'm a little worried that even though it seems like you guys are trying to straighten some things out, I think you're going to try to do right by Jrue Holiday by sending him out, even though I think doing right by yourself is probably holding on to him, as I'm clearly saying. I'm worried the Blazers are still not quite where they want to be. And it's not like, Blazers, da, da, da. That's not how I feel about it. It's more like, oh my God, I think you guys are still making mistakes. That's the vibe that I have about the Blazers. It's like, oh man, I feel bad. I feel really bad. It's one of those. Basically what I'm getting at is after reading Dame's farewell to the Blazers, I read all 10 pages of it, 8 pages of it. A lot of people said I ain't reading all that. I read all that. And salute to a real one, man. That's all I can say about Dame Lillard. Nobody's perfect. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've been critical of Dame signing that big contract. I also came around to being at peace with it when he mentioned it was about his kids and he wants to pass generational wealth to his children. He's trying to capitalize on his NBA contract to the best of his ability. I couldn't argue with it. I may not have agreed with it. I may think a lot comes with that. You have to sacrifice, including where you want to play and who you get to play with. But when you look at what happened here, he's landing with Giannis. Hell yeah, he should have signed that contract if his future was going to have it playing with a player that's much better than anybody who could have ever come with him to Portland. No disrespect to Portland's capabilities of turning whatever Scoot's going to turn into. Maybe he turns to an amazing superstar. But I don't anticipate him turning into Giannis. I just think that in some very, very strange way, Dame's loyalty has been rewarded. I don't think that the Miami Heat was the best place for him, although where he wanted to go is ultimately, where you ultimately want to see him go if you're rooting for him. But I don't think Miami was getting Giannis. I really think him playing with Giannis is probably the best thing in the world for him. So long as Milwaukee continues on the path of trying to bring Giannis what will help him win, for which they've proven they're already willing to do, which is also very encouraging about the Milwaukee Bucks. They've already proven that they value Giannis in such a way to bring him something. They brought him Jrue Holiday, and he won a championship. They brought him Dame Lillard, and I think they'll continue doing things in that vein. It's not like they've been proven to be a team that's willing to do anything less. So if I'm Dame, I feel very confident about their ownership taking me seriously and taking my championship dream seriously, and I'm very confident in Giannis being able to deliver on a championship because he's already done it. So I think, and if I may, and you guys, this is a channel where we talk about God a lot, I think God is blessing Dame Lillard right now. I really do. If Dame doesn't reject going to Milwaukee, I think it's very well could end with him getting a championship there. They're just going to have to make more moves. And Portland, I've been critical of you guys. Like I said, I'm not the dude that wakes up and says, now that you've learned your lesson, it's too late. I don't feel that way. I think that I knew better than to sign Jeremy Grant to a 5-year contract. I think most people knew better than to sign him to a 5-year contract. I just don't think you guys knew that at the time. And now you know better and you're moving on from it, that's fine. Doing right by Jrue Holiday by sending him out, even though it kind of hurts yourself doing so, I think ultimately it'll give you the right reputation, especially since you didn't send Dame where he wants to go. So it's probably the right move in regards to your reputation. And if you get the right return for him, I think you'll feel really good about him ultimately. I think you'll feel good about that. So it's about the next move. What is your next move? How are you going to trade Jrue Holiday for what it is that makes sense for you? I really don't think that you need to be looking to blow it up like I'm saying other teams, because you got Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. That's a young core. A damn good one, too. And I'm not overly excited or enthused. Well, that's the wrong word. I don't think it's incredibly urgent that you move on from Ayton either, because Ayton's pretty dang young and still has development to do, even though most people don't think he does. I know he does. And so Chauncey Billups is a fantastic coach for all three of those people, I believe, just from a character standpoint. So you guys can move in the right direction too. I just think you got to make the right moves from here. And we'll see. We'll see. I just think when you talk about not letting Dame come back, and maybe that's not a Cronin thing, the GM, maybe that's an owner thing. But if he really didn't want Dame to come back, I probably would have wanted Dame to come back. I would have. I wouldn't have been spiteful to him for wanting out. I would not have done that. But then again, I don't know what else is going on behind the scenes, so I reserve my response to that in any other way. There's something else about this. The Miami aspect of it that I told you about at the beginning with the 3 picks. Jovic, whatever return would have came back from Hero. I'm worried about that being something that was on the table and you're not going for that just to keep Dame from Miami. I'm worried about that. Because whatever you're about to get from Jrue Holiday, it ain't going to be worth 3 picks. And I believe there was, if I'm not mistaken, there may have been some swaps I had added to that as well. I think Miami was ready to provide swaps. Tyler Hero probably would have got them at least a first-round pick or something equivalent to that value. Excuse me. I think ultimately you guys may have made a real mistake not sending him to Miami back in August when that was on the table. Now, I don't know if that still was on the table at this point, but it seemed to me that might have been a better trade return. Because if you really look at it, you're doing dirty work for the Bucks by trading Jrue Holiday somewhere on your own. That should have been something they had to do to get Dame. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Cronin, I'm like, yeah, we can, for sure. The value of Jrue Holiday should come my way. But we're not finalizing this trade until that value is realized, because now I got to go out and try to find a trade for Jrue. That's your job, Milwaukee. So it just seems to me that you're doing Milwaukee's dirty work for them. And I know that was because you wanted to do this before Media Day. But as I said in the video before this all happened, the urgency to do that get this done before Media Day was short-sighted. That's not prioritizing things properly. This is your rebuild we're talking about. So I don't care if I got to wait 6 months to trade Dame. I probably would have waited for the best return possible rather than worried about what the hell that happened on Media Day. Who gives a damn about what happens on Media Day some random year? Which this absolutely is if you're the Portland Trailblazers. I'm worried about the Portland Trailblazers. That's basically what I'm here to say. They just came out of a really tough situation with their cap. They finally got out from under that cap, and the first thing they did was re-sign a bunch of people they probably shouldn't re-sign. Giving Nurkic his contract initially wasn't very good, in my opinion. That was bad. You should have did more imaginary stuff with your cap. Obviously, we talked about the Grant contract. Bad. Should have did more imaginary stuff with your cap. I like Anthony Simons, but I'm not married to him if I'm Portland based on what it is I have, and you guys paid him $100 million. These are bad moves, man. At the end of the day, these are not good moves. Not for a small market that has a hard time attracting people. These are bad moves. You got Jrue Holiday in-house. You can't attract Jrue Holiday if not for getting him in trade. You just got him in trade, and now you're trying to send him out. I'm afraid I'm on board with moving on from Cronin, the GM, and I'm worried that the owner may be a problem too, based on what it is that they're saying. I'm worried about that. And if I'm worried about that, that means I'm worried about Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe. That's what I'm getting around to. Those young fellas are terrific prospects that are likely to make multiple All-Stars in their careers. But can they win a championship in Portland? Not the way these people are moving. No. I want better for those young fellas. I'm not saying Portland has any incentive to move on from them. In fact, they don't. But I'm worried that your decision-making, Portland, is that of a team that doesn't quite know what they're doing, and that is really bad for those young players. That's really the thought. That's what it really comes down to. There's a million superstars in the league, a million young players that have upside in this league, etc., etc. Few of them are exciting as Scoot Henderson specifically. Few of them are expected to have the upside of Scoot Henderson specifically. You got another one, essentially. If he turns into what he's supposed to, you got another one. Are we getting off to a bad start because you guys are not quite making the best moves? Only time will tell. But I'm telling you, the mistakes that you made, yeah, they need to be undone. But the moves that you're about to make, I'm worried to be mistakes too. So that's the fullness of basically what I got to say. I don't really know if there's anything else to say. Like I said, I read everything Dame had to say. I love the song that he just dropped. About to put it on the playlist that I'm going to make. The song is one of my favorite Dame songs already. I love the music attached to it and what he was saying. And I really do think this is a blessing for Dame, man. I think he's in a much better place than he would have been in Miami, aside from the living situation. I think he's going to have a much greater chance to succeed if Milwaukee remains as determined to keep Giannis as they've been. And now, in my opinion, Dame should be extended to that same respect, because Dame is a top 12 player, top 15 player in this league. You ain't just worried about keeping Giannis happy. Your responsibility is to keep Dame happy too. And that's what Milwaukee, I'm sure, understands deeply. You don't have one player to keep happy. You have two, for sure. So that's what's on Milwaukee's tab. You know, I don't think that was the case with Jrue Holiday and Middleton. No. Dame is his own beast. Even if Giannis ain't there, you're responsible for keeping Dame happy, type of thing. That's how big of a superstar Dame is. And I have no doubt they know that. So, yeah, that's really where I'm at, man. I don't know, man. They're moving on from the Grant contract. That's a fantastic thing. Now, the question is, who the heck is going to take that and for what? And what are you going to have to give up to get someone to take it? And that would be the conversation if I'm on the other end of that GM table. I'm like, even if I want that Grant contract, or rather the player Grant, I don't want the contract. So because I don't want the contract, you may have to give me something to make me want to give it to you, or give you the equivalent in salary, depending on what it is. Or you're going to have to take back something you don't want to take back, Portland, which is not really good for your rebuild. So the Grant contract is something I don't know that you're going to be easy. It's going to be easy to move, and it may not be in your best interest to attach what I'm going to ask for. Put it like that. May not be. It's not too late to change your mind on Jrue Holiday. It's not too late. You haven't pulled the trigger on that. I think Anthony Simons is just as easily moved. He's going to get you a nice return too if people know who he is and what he can do. Simons is a real player. But the timeline for Simons and Shaedon and Scoot makes more sense than Jrue, Scoot, and Shaedon. I will admit that. So I get that part. But fit, Simons, Scoot, backcourt, talented, ain't guarding much. Not guarding much. And you need to be able to guard. You're going up against Phoenix. That's Devin Booker. And that's Bradley Beal. If you can't defend, you're not beating them. And that's just one team in the West. What about the rest of them? Jay Will, Giddey, Shea, you'll have no success against OKC. Monk, Fox, you'll have no success against the Kings. So it's like, you're going to be a bad team. It's not a question about whether or not you're going to be any good. You're not going to be any good. But at least if you keep Jrue Holiday on your team, you have a chance at really throwing an elite defensive player at one of those people. You keep Scoot and Shade and you get the point. Simons and Scoot are not going to guard those guys at all. At all. And so whatever you're trying to do with your rebuild, if it has them long term, you're just going to end up trading one of them anyway. You're going to trade Simons anyway. Please see that already. Because that's really important. If you're serious about moving forward with them in your backcourt, you're not going to move. You're going to find out you don't want to do that. Just like you found out you didn't want the Grant contract, you're going to find out you don't want to do that. So they need guidance, man. I think Portland needs guidance because they're in such a sensitive situation. It's not as simple as, oh, we make mistakes, we can clean it up. You guys make too many mistakes, and you're not going to be able to keep your team in Portland. That's why I'm scared for y'all. If I'm being real, that's exactly what I'm scared for them. Seattle lost their team, and they weren't even making bad decisions. Portland, you could lose your team, friend. Like, literally. You don't have the rope that the Lakers do, the Miamis do. You don't have the asset class of the OKCs and even Indiana right now. So you can't afford to fall into some bad decisions just because the regime in place is kind of trying to figure it out. You need somebody who knows what the hell they're doing right now, man. And that's my concern. I don't get the feeling that Cronin really knows what he's doing yet. I don't think he does. And I say that with a great deal of cringe, but I really feel that way. Means well, but you're at risk, Portland. And I don't want Rip City to lose their team. I don't want to see nothing even getting to that point. But you lose Dame and Scoot doesn't turn into what he's supposed to, or he starts thinking, let me get the hell out of here, you're going to be in some trouble that you don't want to be in, man. And that's just the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So, yeah, man, I'm worried about Rip City. I am. I don't know if I know what I'm talking about, but I know if they keep doing the wrong thing and they don't get the type of talent in there they're supposed to have, people ain't going to come to see them. They're not going to come see you. And if that is the case, it could reflect poorly on your revenue and all the different stuff that comes after that, man. Selling the team can tumble forward to somebody just saying, you know what, it'll be just easy enough for me to just take them somewhere else. Vegas, you see what I'm saying? The Vegas Blazers, that's a real thing. So I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see that happen. But my gut is telling me that is where this is headed if they keep making bad decisions or keep on doing things that they have to undo or keep on passing up on good returns because it's stuff that has nothing to do with what is best for their franchise or what have you. You just let Dame out the door. This is not the time to be picking the wrong guard to slap next to Scoot Henderson. I'm sorry, it's just not. And so that's what I'm saying to y'all, man. If I'm the owner of the Blazers, I'm considering a couple things right now that I just said. If they see this video, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have some things to think about that maybe they weren't thinking about before. But this is where this goes, man. Scoot needs to turn into a superstar, and you need to make him want to be there. Those are two things that have to happen, man. Because if they don't, and y'all keep tumbling forward the way y'all been tumbling, Vegas Blazers. BDO 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.